Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's transmission. And this week we are talking about your eyes. See with your third eye. So, last week we were talking about GPS and knowing where you are and evaluating where you are so you know how to get to where you're going. And I talked a little bit about eyes and how, you don't want to take um, to heart the things that you currently see, right? Especially if you don't want to create more of them. So, um, I have a situation, well, a story, always a story, but I was inspired to speak this message based on something that happened to me. And I was meeting somebody um, at a museum, and they basically, long story short, neither of us ended up seeing the other person. However, both of us were there, right? We have indisputable proof that we were both in the same location, yet we were not able to see each other with our physical eyes. Um, we were at different parts of the building, but for the most part, or at different times, but for the most part, we were both observing the same performance, right, in the same room at the same time. And yet we could not find each other. Like, our eyes had clearly failed us, right? Our eyes had clearly failed us. We couldn't locate each other with our eyes. Now, the interesting part about this is that both of our instincts, both of our intuition had told us to stay and had told us that the other person was there, right? So my instincts told me, like, she's here, like, but because my eyes were like, dude, she ain't here. Like, you don't see her. Where else could she be? Like, and you say, well, why didn't you just call? Blah, blah, blah. Phones sometimes die. And that's what happened. But our intuition had told us, like, I knew it. I knew you were there. Something just told me to stay there, to wait. But I got restless and started looking for you because I thought, because I couldn't see you, right? My eyes. So we talked about the eyes before in a previous transmission about human eyes and how they aren't really that good relative to that of other animals and species, not just animals. And they only see a fraction of what is actually around us, right? So we don't see ultraviolet light, right? Like butterflies. We don't see a lot of stuff. Um, we need oxygen to live, right? So you would think that we would be able to see that. If it's oxygen is something that's so crucial for our very survival on this planet, you think that that's something we'd be able to see and locate, right? Like food or water, like, okay. But yet we cannot, right? We can't see where oxygen is. We take for granted that it's everywhere. And it's just pervasive. It always has been, always will be. But people enter spaces without oxygen all the time. And it ends up tragic, obviously. But think of like water. We can't breathe underwater, or trunks, or old refrigerators, right? People suffocate because there is no oxygen in these places, or there's very little, right? Because their eyes we can't see oxygen. So, but if we could, our eyes would be able to tell us, like, whatever color oxygen would be, like, oh, there's none of that in there. So, I shouldn't go in there. Okay. This also makes me think of the Malcolm Gladwell book, Blink. And I think I spoke about this before too, and how we know things subconsciously that our conscious mind cannot possibly know, right? Because it lacks the evidence. So the premise of the book is just that. In a blink of an eye, milliseconds, right? You can gather a lot of information subconsciously that your conscious mind will dispute or have no proof of and won't believe. But when he crunched the numbers, right, the statistics, it showed that your intuition actually is more accurate than your conscious mind, right? Because it pulls a whole bunch of things together that you couldn't possibly do even in that amount of time, right? It's taking in a lot of things like the energy, moods, the surroundings, a person's inflection in their voice, all of this stuff that you would have to sit down and, you know, add together, that your intuition is doing in a fraction of a second. So there is scientific evidence for this, right? For intuition or instincts, or whatever you want to call it. It does exist, right? I also realize that the third eye is connected to the heart, right? Or the intuition. Whereas the physical eyes are connected to the mind, right? They go directly to the mind. So in my situation, right, my physical eyes were able to convince my mind, right? They're both being very logical and very concrete, and very tangible, that this person was not there. My friend, she was not there, right? That's all the logic. Yet, and still, my third eye, my intuition, was telling me, yes, she is. She's here, right? Just stay put, right? And that's connected to the heart, right? Your third eye, your heart, your intuition. The mind can only make extrapolations based off the past. And that is the problem, right? So because my eyes didn't see, it told my mind, oh, she's not here. My mind's like, oh, yeah, logically, she's not here. And this much time has passed, and you've looked everywhere. It just is illogical, right? It didn't make any sense based off of things, that have happened in the past and was most likely to have happened and was logical. I mean, my mind just thought of all of this stuff like, well, maybe, she got caught in traffic. Maybe this happened. Maybe something amazing happened, and she got sidetracked or rerouted, but none of that happened. The mind was wrong. It was completely wrong. All it had to go off of was the past, and it was wrong. And it built off of that and created all these fantastical, stories of what probably happened and what was so logical. None of that had happened, right? She was there. So that's important to remember, right? So the moral of this story is intuition trumps the eyes every single time. Every time. Not sometimes, every time. Never doubt your intuition. Don't doubt it. Don't doubt your heart. Don't doubt your third eye. Follow it. And that's it. Have a good week. Thank you for listening. Love, live, light, laughter. Peace out. Bye.